my god, who is that kid? He's so annoying. How can he be screaming and shouting in the middle of the shopping center? And is that his mother? Wow, parents nowadays, irresponsible. Hello, Auntie. Is there a kid over there?
Yes it is.
Can you do something about it? Everyone here is trying to have a peaceful time shopping, but our kid here is so distracting.
I'm so sorry, he has an intellectual disability and just needs to be left alone for a while to calm down. I'll appreciate it if you could understand.
What intellectual disability? He looks very normal, eh?
Not all people with special needs have physical deformities, and physical deformities vary depending on the type of disability that they have. My son has mild autism, so I would seek your kind understanding.
Oh, so it's a bit sort one ah. No wonder his behavior so weird one.
Okay, this is where you are very wrong. Just because my son has an intellectual disability doesn't mean he deserves to be called sot or crazy. And do you even know that you're speaking to the parent of the child? How would you like it if your child is deemed by the public as crazy? The intellectually disabled are people just like any one of us. No more, no less, and they're deserving of respect and dignity as well. So I appreciate it if you could understand his needs more and be more appreciative.
Oh, okay, whatever.
So what are your thoughts on the intellectually disabled? Will you behave as the auntie did just now? Honestly, most of us probably wouldn't. Most of us will look at the floor, or look away, or just anywhere but at the scene. Most of us will never know what it's like to live with someone with an intellectual disability. And this ignorance breeds distrust. And in turn, distrust breeds discrimination. We discriminate, whether we intend to or not. Discrimination exists in many different forms. The shuffling of feet as people move away, the hushed whispers, the pointed fingers and the glares. However, our discrimination might be more subtle than that. We look down on them, we pity them, we feel sorry for their parents, shocked when they behave this way in public. Moreover, I saw one incident at Uniqlo where this young child was lying sprawled out on the floor, bawling at the top of his lungs, while his parents were looking on and waiting for him to calm down. The passers-by were just walking on, some were whispering, pointing at him, some were even laughing, and no one was offering any assistance. Moreover, such behavior can be seen in a recent Lien Foundation survey, where out of 1,000 respondents, over 2/3 of them reported that they were uncomfortable with sharing public spaces or just being near people with intellectual disabilities. Most of all, half the parents surveyed were uncomfortable with their child being seated next to one with special needs in schools. This is extremely saddening, and this needs to change. The intellectually disabled are people just like any one of us, no more, no less, and they are deserving of our respect. By increasing interaction with the intellectually disabled, we can better learn more about them, their emotions, and we can understand their needs and realize that they are people too. A change begins slowly, beginning with one individual at a time.
These individuals could be you, me, and all of us. So, how do we interact more with people with intellectual disabilities? Is it just volunteering? I have my part-time job too and assignments due, and I'm sure many of us can relate. We don't really have much time to volunteer. But thankfully, volunteering is not the only way. We can also show our care and concern for this group of individuals by interacting with them in public. But before I start, can I have a show of hands? Any one of you who have interacted with people with intellectual disabilities before? Oh, I see quite a number of you have interacted with them. So as such, I'd like to share with you a few tips on how you can better interact with these people in public. So to help you better remember these tips, I've come up with an acronym called AIR. So just like how air is integral in our lives, it's also very important for us to integrate these individuals into our society. So A stands for assume they can do things. So many people have the misconception that people who are intellectually disabled are not capable of taking care of themselves. Can you imagine how exhausting it is for people to treat you like a fragile vase that is easily broken just by being an independent individual? To be honest, it can be a little annoying, even though people mean well. So maybe the next time we see them, we could assume they can do things and give them with respect and dignity that they deserve. Secondly, include them. So some of them, they might have a more friendly demeanor. They might come up to you to say hi or strike up a random conversation with you. Do not be taken aback. Instead of turning them away or ignoring them, maybe you could smile at them or talk to them, ask them about their day, their hobbies, their favorite food, etc. Okay, I know what you're thinking. Talking to strangers? What? Isn't that like scary? To be honest, yes, it can be a little nerve-wracking. And I know for sure I cannot really talk to strangers. I'm like so frightened to talk to strangers. But next time when we see them, maybe we can like smile at them and like tell them that and like ask them about their day and all. I'm sure that would be a good start. And thirdly, we can also respect their choices. So when you're being taken care of on a day-to-day basis, it's very hard for you to feel like you have control over your lives. So maybe the next time we see them, we can respect their choices, go up to them and ask them, hey, do you need help? And if they say no, then just leave them alone. I'm sure you'll better appreciate it this way. So I've come to the end of my 3 tips questionnaire, and hopefully by incorporating them, your interaction with the intellectually disabled will be more meaningful. So as for those of you who have extra time or who are keen to volunteer, Trevor will be telling you more about it.
Okay, thank you, Lee Sing. So as mentioned before, I'll now be sharing with you about volunteering. Yeah, I get it. Some of you might be thinking, here we go again. Now another speech on volunteering. So I won't be sharing with you about why you should volunteer or the benefits you might get from volunteering, but rather, I'd like to share with you my story of my experiences with mines and why I decided to remain a mines volunteer. So before I started a year ago, I didn't have a positive impression on the intellectually disabled. Rather, I didn't have much of an impression at all. I hardly talked to them. I didn't interact much with them. And if I'd ever seen one on the streets, I'd probably not pay them a second glance. However, our perceptions do change. Our perceptions of people, whether our friends, our family, acquaintances, strangers, they all stem from our interaction with them. And as we begin interacting with them more and more, we begin to see who they are as individuals. We begin to see more of their personality. In your head, think of the person whom you're closest to. Why are you closest to this person? For me, it's because of all the positive emotions I feel when I'm with them. I feel happy, I feel safe, I feel loved. And there isn't just one sole defining moment in which I can attribute our whole relationship to. There's not like one moment where like, oh, I really like to spend time with this person, or I really enjoy his company, but rather it's the accumulation of all the shared experiences that we've had together. And this formed the bedrock of my relationship with the mine trainees. As I began interacting with them more and more, I began to see them as people, as individuals who want to be seen, heard, respected, as people with their own unique traits, individuality. And when I think of them, so many positive memories come flooding back. From acid camp last year, where we went to Sentosa, playing like beach games under the hot sun. Or we were training down the luge, like weaving between other members of public, other volunteers. Or we went to Fort Siloso, and we were having a mass dance and doing station games. These are some of the memories that I hold dear. But the ones that are most important to me are the ones I have at EMK Mind Center. The ones where we just have a casual sing-along, or we just do a song and dance, or we do like a simple arts and craft, or maybe the occasional outing where we went to see the fireworks, or we went to the Changi Terminal, and we saw the airplanes fly off. The memories are something that I hold really dear, but the ones that keep me coming back are the people, the volunteers and the trainees. Like from Ian, who just smile and like, who would just smile erratically and just like wave you over. She would just megawatt smile and just screams here from across the room. And you can't help but bring yourself over. Or see Lillian, who just walks up to you, bouncing, and then just asks how your day has been. These are the little things that keep me coming back. And I've been so blessed to have them as a friend. Upon listening to this story, some of you might feel inspired or perhaps eager, like you might want to make new friends with our Mind trainees. On the other hand, understand that perhaps some of us do feel a little hesitant. Perhaps we have too many commitments, or we might feel we're not as trained or as qualified to interact with the Mind trainees. So what if I offer you some suggestions? So you have exposure sessions. So exposure sessions include, like, for example, my shirt here, ASIC Camp. So ASIC Camp, right, is the annual camp for the intellectually disabled. And what it does is it gives you opportunity to, as a student volunteer and a group facilitator. You'll be bringing our Mind trainees through a 2-day 1-night camp program. And what will happen is that, like, from you'll be helping them relive the camp experiences that you've had, like in your university days. So for example, a mass game, or station games, or a night carnival, an outing. So what you can do is, you can also sign up using the QR code that I've put over here. And the theme this year is actually superheroes. So be the superhero. Yes. Okay. After this, right, there's also another platform that you can use. So it's called Minds MYG. So Minds MYG stands for Minds Youth Group. So Minds Youth Group has 11 projects island-wide, and one of them is even affiliated with NUS Community Service Club. So what you can do is you can join with your university friends, sign up through NUS CSC, or perhaps you can go to the one that's nearest your home. Because there are so many projects that are island-wide, be it Ang Mo Kio, Woodlands, Serangoon, etc. Just find one that's nearest your home. During the weekend, hop on over and go for an exposure session. So these exposure sessions aren't very long. Typically 2 or 3 hours. What you'll be doing is you'll be facilitating and planning a group activity, be it arts and crafts or sports, for our trainees. Yeah. And what you can do is you can learn from regular volunteers as well as have first-hand exposure, interaction with them. So now I've come to my end of my presentation, and I would like to end with a quote. So look beyond the disability to see the true selves. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. So now, right, any questions that you have on the floor?
Yeah, I have a question for Trevor.
Yeah.
So how do we change the mindsets of the older generations regarding people with intellectual or disability?
So a lot of our presentations aim towards the younger population, agree. So particularly for like university students in terms of say the CCA, or in terms of like what platforms they can use, like using the QR code or through social media. So what we can do for targeting the older population would be through traditional forms of media perhaps. So awareness would be one. Awareness through either like newspapers or say like through television programs. So as in there isn't one sort of television program or one sort of traditional media that has been actively publicizing intellectually disabled. But I think it might be, we can use an example. So for instance, recently there was a television program on nursing. So like, what happened was after that there was actually a spike in undergraduate admissions for nursing. Well, I'm in the health industry, so this one I can't do. So like we can use this as a sort of platform to reach out to a larger like local audience. I think that's one. On the other hand, I think older people might be more willing to volunteer if they see examples. So we do have a lot of older volunteers in mind. And what I think we can do is also we can publicize the stories, like if they're willing to, if they're willing to share, publicize it. So what we can do is we can like write down like short like excerpts or short, say, interviews with them of how they have, why they started going to Minds and why they decided to remain. So a lot of them, they have a lot of experiences and they feel like this is a, how do I put it? We do have quite a number of retired volunteers. So they find that's a very meaningful way to spend the time. Yeah. So I think perhaps this could help inspire those that are unsure, like the older people who are unsure of whether they should start. Yeah. Hope that answers the question. Okay.
Yeah, I particularly very inspired by the personal story that you shared at Minds. What do you see and foresee as the biggest challenge, in trying to change the mindset, to get more people into, to know about this situation, to try to help make a change, in this situation?
I think a lot of it is because they already have preconceived stereotypes and preconceived notions. And a lot of it can be due to perhaps a lack of interaction or a lack of, a lack of exposure for one. So I think there are a lot of schools that have, okay, not a lot, but there are a few schools that have been doing it already. For example, RI, and like say there's also a cafe called John Bowen Cafe. So these are like some social enterprises that make use of, or not make use, sorry, employ intellectually disabled. And I think it's a good way if we can like, we start small first. Maybe each individual school can hire, like sort of employ students who might have certain disabilities. So it's not like getting them to understand that, how should I say, we start small by getting them to understand that everyday people, or not everyday people, but like people around us can have some form of mild intellectual disability, be it autism or be it like say milder forms that you might not be able to notice on the first glance. So from there, then they can understand that there is a spectrum, and intellectual disability is not just the ones that they are more affiliated with or more known to, for example, Down syndrome, or say those that have more visible sort of characteristics. After that, I think it's once they understand that perhaps there is a spectrum, then we can get them to better understand that within the spectrum also different needs have to be tailored. Like the different needs have to be tailored. So awareness is the first step to that interaction, I feel. Okay, thank you.
This question is for Li Qing. Can you elaborate more on your second point on how to include them?
Like I think including them is very important because like on a day-to-day basis, right, we don't really interact much with people who are intellectually disabled. We usually tend to talk to people with similar conversational capabilities as us, so that we can like talk to them at the same wavelength and understand each other. Yeah, so I always had the impression that people who are intellectually disabled are not capable of like, I don't know, are not really capable. Like I would not be able to hold a conversation with them. Like we won't really have a common topic to talk about. Yeah, but like my impression changed because Trevor, Sam and I, we actually went to volunteer at Mines like one Saturday. So we went to Terminal 2, Changi Airport to see like the aeroplanes fly, right? Then over there we met like the Mines trainees. And at first glance I didn't even notice that like they were any different from the general public because they look like just any one of us here. Just that I noticed their behavior was a little bit different. So for example, there was this one boy, his name is called Darren. So suddenly he had an outburst. So like he started to behave very violently and aggressively towards himself, started to like hit himself on his head and like shout at the top of his lungs. Yeah, so like when I saw this I was taken aback and shocked, and I didn't know how to respond because in the 19 years of my life I've never really encountered like this situation before. So I was like really unsure. And I noticed that some members of the public were also like freaking out a little bit. Yeah, so and that was like the start of the volunteering program. So I was just very uneasy. I don't know whether like I would be able to interact with the rest of the trainees. But that turned out like to be wrong because when I went to talk to the other trainees, they were all very nice and caring people. Like they would ask us about our days, right, and like what we have been up to, and then they would share with us their life stories also. Like there was this one girl, her name is called Lilian. Yeah, then like she was very nice to us. Like she asked us like about our day, then she told us like about like her brother's occupation, like what her mom has been doing, what she was doing like before she came to Mines. And because we were at the airport, then she also mentioned about her China trip with her family. So it was very heartwarming and like just really nice and enjoyable conversation with her. And like the same goes for like our conversations with the other Mines trainees as well. Yeah, so it turns out that they are actually very friendly people, and it's very easy to hold conversations with them, and in fact it was very, very enjoyable. Yeah, so I feel like this first-hand interaction is very important for us to change perceptions and mindsets. Because in schools, right, like they can teach you like, oh, the intellectually disabled, they behave in a certain way. But you don't really know until you like fully experienced it yourself, like you interacted with them before. So I think that is when like our interaction, as Trevor mentioned, right, would really change perceptions. So first is awareness, then comes the interaction part. Yeah, so I think that is really important for us to see past their disabilities and like look at their individuality instead. That's all.
Okay, I have a question for Sam.
Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, how do your perception of these intellectually disabled people change?
Okay, thanks for the question. So, like what my speech said earlier about discrimination, I was actually part of it, and honestly, I'm actually really, really scared of people who are intellectually disabled. So as mentioned earlier in my speech about the child at Uniqlo, also I was one of the people who walked by. I had no idea what to do at all. It was really loud, he was flailing on the floor, and I just got panicked. And in general, like on the MRT station, if I see people with special needs who are a bit different, I would tend to avoid them too. And also, the perceptions of the older generation, basically my parents, doesn't really help things at all. And they are also saying like, okay, stay away from these people, they're quite dangerous, you don't know what's going to happen, quite volatile. Okay, so the more we research on this project, the more I realize that actually it's just the genetic, it's like the science behind it that I will not go into. But I realized that they are pretty much the same. It's just little quirks, things that make people special, you know, but it's a different way. And the more we read out about it, the more we realize it's just behavioral differences. Like how every one of us has different personality traits, different quirks and all that. We can see this as kind of the same thing, just that theirs is genetic and they are born with it also. So slowly over time, my perception of them have changed, and also through the Changi Airport volunteering session, which was extremely fun, very eye-opening for me. It was the first time I actually volunteered with people with ID, and it made me realize that actually interacting with them is pretty similar on a day-to-day basis, and I shouldn't be scared anymore. Honestly, they should be integrated into society as well, and I think the public perception really needs to change of them. And the more people interact with them, the more their mindset changes, and the more we can progress as not just a society but as a country in general. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, just now you mentioned that one of the obstacles is getting people with like commitments to volunteer. So how do you think you can encourage like this?
I think like okay, so perhaps one would be through like just going down for a short session, like during any time that you're free, maybe during the holidays particularly. So what happens is like these sessions, right, it's every week. So week in, week out, right, it's there. Yeah. So you can just find the time within during the holidays, and then you can just come down for any session that is closest to your home. So like because there are 11 centers across Singapore, so it's pretty spread out. There's some in the east, there's some in the west, some in central. Yeah. So just find some that one that's nearest to you, and then just go down. It's about 2 to 3 hours. Usually about afternoon, Saturday. So that's why like if people who go to church won't be affected. Yeah, that's why. Then another one would be I think NUS-CSE also has like several events where it's just a one-day thing, and then what they do is they get student volunteers to come. For example, Touch Project, Grant a Wish. So Grant a Wish, like if I'm not wrong, they have many like sessions, like 3 or 4 sessions throughout the year, and usually they involve either like last year was ID, this year I think it's children. But like for instance, you can go down and see how other volunteers, like they do have other volunteers as well, like the regular volunteers, and then they have like just ad hoc. So like the ad hoc volunteers can learn from the regular volunteers the means of how to interact, that's one, and perhaps also be inspired maybe. Or on the other hand, if not, you can also just find it as a nice bonding opportunity with new friends or new beneficiaries. Yeah. For uni students, I think that's the one I'm targeting at. Okay, yes.
Seeing that there are no more questions, we'll conclude our presentation. So thank you everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.